Hello, everyone. Tonight with the Open Hearth, we are playing The Murder of Mr. Crow, which is a short parlor game by Rickard Elimää. Uh, and yeah, my name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. I'm facilitating, but in this game, there's no GM, there's no special roles apart from the role of the detective, which we shall be passing amongst ourselves. Um, the thing I find bemusing about these kind of games, or at least the media that these games are based upon, is, I can imagine um, uh, Poirot going through his list of accusations and, getting punched in the nose the first time he accuses someone who maybe isn't as refined as he is, but that never seems to happen. Uh, so. Yeah, we shall see. That kind of thing doesn't happen in polite England in the 1920s, or so Agatha Christie would have us believe. Mark, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I am Mark. I use he, him pronouns. I think the touchstones that I have with mysteries are Columbo, Poker Face, which is kind of almost like a remake, the Knives Out movies, and The After Party, which is a comedy that they all follow kind of that same pattern, having the final confrontation there at the end with everyone, or sometimes they clear people throughout the course of the episode. So we'll see if this how serious this game is, or if it's a little bit more comedic today with this group and the bear.
Thanks, Mark. Sabine, do you want to go next?
Sure, my name is Sabine. I use any pronouns, and I had in my early to late 20s, I had a mystery novel phase where I was just reading a lot of mystery novels from the ABC series with this bounty hunter lady who was not a very good bounty hunter, but were very good. They were funny, at least the ones I read. And read Lord Peter Wimsey. I enjoyed Lord Peter Wimsey a lot. I read some of the British big names at that time, at least, detective novels with a very morose detective, and he was a little too morose for my taste, I have to say, because he was constantly whining why he had it so hard because he was a lord and rich and everything, and I got a little fed up with him, so I went off to, I think, more fantasy stuff. But yeah, I read a lot of mystery novels. I didn't watch a lot of mystery series. When I was a kid, I watched Remington Steele and enjoyed that quite a bit. But yeah, and I saw True Detective, and I saw the Nice Out stuff. I hear there's a new one in the making. So fingers crossed.
Great. And Brandon.
I'm Brandon. I use he and pronouns. Um, so my big mystery touchstone was that my father was a copyright attorney. And this is the days before the huge computer databases. And so they would get all of these pulp magazines in so that they could make notes of the titles and such like that for title searches for their clients. And then they would discard them, and I would end up with a lot of them. And among them were a number of mystery magazines, Ellery Queen and Alfred Hitchcock, and various others. Uh, and so I got this steady diet of mystery short stories from some of the best writers, in the business. Um, and I was astonished how much they could pack into a short story, right? To have this whole satisfying plot work itself out. So that and Sherlock Holmes was very much my my jam. Friends of mine did a murder mystery party called To Hat and Hat Not, which had a perfectly marvelous multi-character reveal at the end, where every character comes forward and they confess the crime. But then they point out why they could never have done it. And they hand it off to the next person who does it. And it was the most perfect reveal, because like, oh, well, it obviously was this person, but then it was obviously this person. So that's what I think of drawing room murders.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. So we start this game out by creating the suspects. Obviously, the detective has already figured out exactly who has murdered Mr. Crow and has gathered all these suspects in timeless fashion into the room, in some room in this apartment building. So does anyone have a suspect they want to lead with, and then we'll just go around the table until we have our complete list.
I found a picture.
Okay.
Can I do it?
You should go.
Sorry.
You should go.
Sorry, I hope that. No, this is the wrong picture. This is totally the wrong picture. This is the one I want. Copy image address. That's what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. There he is. This is Mr. Hyena. He's a lawyer, Esquire. Mr. Hyena, Esquire, by the way. He's a lawyer.
Okay. Wow. Cool. Mr. Hyena, who's a lawyer. Okay. Great. So that's at the end of our list of suspects, we're going to come back around and add some extra details to them. But for now, we're just going to go around the table to create our suspects first.
Oh, and should I define an object or something?
No.
So
no.
Okay.
We do that after.
Okay, cool.
So who's next? Who is that? A badger? Is that
is a
a
badger.
raccoon?
In fact,
Okay.
I think it's a honey badger. I think it's a honey badger.
Okay.
And I think we need some gender diversity here. So this will be Miss Badger. Miss Honey Badger. You can call her Honey. And she's clearly a banker. I don't know it. I don't. That outfit screams banker pretty much. I don't think you're allowed to be a banker if you don't have a vest or vice versa.
It's definitely in the dress code, right? Mark, you're working on a suspect, right?
Yes, I'm going with Professor Scorpion. I think Scorpion is the species. And the occupation is classics professor.
Nice.
This is a very high rent apartment building, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's outrageous that a murder should take place here.
It is.
Murders are for lower class people.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna bring the tone down. We have Ms. Porcupine, who is a musician.
Musician. Who let in a musician?
I mean, probably I don't need to muddy the waters by say struggling or
no, it's perfectly obvious.
Yeah. Okay. Sabine, do you have a second suspect?
I do have a second suspect. I just need to figure out how to copy an image address, which I have now done. This is Lord Bunny. Lord Bunny is what you'd call well, Lord Bunny is rich and likes to take hikes. Lord Bunny is a hiker, but a high-class hiker. Also, he's very young.
Is profession Lord? Is that?
Yes, that's the profession. Is son, precious son, basically.
The nice word for that is dilettante, I think. But
Yeah.
Lord does.
Oh yes, dilettante. I will take that. Thank you, Brendan. I know how to spell this. I think maybe not with 2 L's. So.
Yeah.
It looks wrong, but I think it's one of those words that looks wrong in every possible combination. French.
It's written with 2 T's. It is wrong. There is a T missing.
Okay. Do we want a sixth suspect, I wonder? Or is 5 enough for us?
But 5 is
I mean,
fine.
Mr. Bear is there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's true. Yeah. Okay.
We should just roll with the bear. By the way, it's tough to find, just so you know, a cozy anthropomorphic scorpion
Well, I mean,
image.
scorpions, are they ever cozy? I mean, frogs might think so, but anyone wiser?
They're pretty fierce, those anthropomorphic scorpions.
Yeah, yeah. The only ones I can find are some barbarian warriors. I have a zebra commando here.
You
Well,
obviously need to look for cartoon scorpion.
That checks out. I'll look.
And not Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Okay,
Even
awesome.
cartoon ones are still pretty ferocious.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So now I think we should go continue around the table, and I think we should add details to characters we didn't create just to mix it up a little bit. So we add either a small object or something heard or noticed one night, maybe the night of the murder, to each of the suspects that we have. So, who wants to add something to Mr. Hyena Esquire?
So the aspect that we're adding then is the object or something heard or noticed, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Esquire.
How about an irritating scratching sound? Is that the kind of thing?
Yeah, sounds good.
It was
Why don't
preventing
you-
me from working.
I don't know if you can even hear that.
Okay, how about to a detail or object to Ms. Honeybadger?
I think she found a dictionary with a page ripped off. Dictionary with a missing page.
Okay.
Should I define what page it is, or do we go
I
with
mean, I think
Bernard Bay
yeah, exactly. I think
approach?
the detective will declare at some point in time
Good.
why exactly this is significant. Um, okay. How about Professor Scorpion? What is he drinking? Is he like mojito? He like some mojito, does he? Okay.
It's some type of cocktail,
Yeah.
it looks like.
Even professors have to unwind.
I'm not going to volunteer anything for this because this is the one that I did. Donna, why don't you go
Yes.
since you?
I think that Professor Scorpion noticed one night some wet footprints.
Hmm.
Miss Porcupine is my creation, so who wants to add something to her?
How about an ink-stained envelope?
Ooh.
Okay. Anything jumping out at Lord Bunny? No pun intended.
Yes, what's a good pithy way to put this? a paper mache mask.
Okay. And finally, something for our accountant, Mr. Bear.
A flawless apple.
Mm. Okay, marvelous. Well, that is our list of suspects. Let me, I'll pretend I'll put on my hat. I've called you all here to shed some light on the murder of Mr. Crow. However, this is not a time for tears, but the time to discover the truth. Look around you. In this room right now is Mr. Crow's murderer. You are about to find out who did the deed. So, before questioning begins, I think someone should be the detective. And what they do is they declare that someone else is going to play a suspect. And that suspect will have to answer up to 3 questions posed by the detective. Before the questioning begins, the suspect will roll 1d6. Everyone gets to see what it is, and the suspect will follow the guidelines determined by the roll. On a 1 to 3, the suspect will listen carefully and agree with every question. They're going to add a couple of details. And on 4, 5, or 6, they're going to make things difficult for the detective by involving other suspects or answering evasively. So the 3 questions that we have are, and these are in order, and they should take other stuff into account that we have already got on the paper. So at the very start, we don't have very much. We just have these objects or these things that the suspects have noticed. The first question must link the suspect to something else on the paper. So it could be, is this ink-stained envelope yours, or did you notice these wet footprints, whatever. The second question is going to state a fact, something that connects the suspect in the previous, the suspect to the previous question and is relevant to the murderer. The murderer. This is new information that the detective just makes from whole cloth, but again, based on a previous answer. So it could be something that is like, but I noticed the wet footprints match the shoes you have on you right now, or whatever it is. And then the final question, which is optional, is suggest a motive as to why the suspect may have murdered Mr. Crow. This question should insinuate, but not literally accuse. So, did Mr. Crow help you, Mr. Rhino, to pay off your gambling debt? Or whatever it is. Okay. If at any point you're struggling with coming up with a question or whatever it is, you can ask for an assistant. Anyone who's not involved as the detective or the suspect can jump in, give you a couple of options, and you choose which one to take. Whoever was the previous detective, so I'll take this role at the start, is going to take notes in the keeper. So, as the suspect answers those questions, someone else is going to be taking notes so that the two of you can pay closest attention to the scene. And we're going to continue until every suspect has been questioned, and then we're going to kind of go to the next phase. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. So who wants to be the first detective? Or who wants to be the detective first, rather? There's only one detective.
Can
do
be
it.
Okay.
Or fine.
No,
I don't know.
you go ahead. I'm fine with not being my background wants to eat my head anyway.
So so Brandon, choose one of us, maybe not me if I'm going to be taking notes, um, and assign that person to play a particular suspect, and then they will answer your questions. Before you start asking the questions, though, the person playing the suspect will roll a die and compare.
Let's see. How about Mr. Heine?
Who's the player?
You.
Me. Okay. Can totally be. I will roll a die.
Yep.
At least 6, right? Mr. Hyena will not be very helpful, I'm afraid. Mr. Hyena is a lawyer. Sworn to silence.
Done it to clarify, do the instructions under where it says make things difficult for the detective, does that go along with the text from the game which says you may make things difficult by involving other suspects? Is that the same? That's the same instruction, right?
No, you may make things difficult for the detective by involving other suspects or answering evasively.
Okay.
Um,
I just wanted to make sure that I'm on the same page. The instructions. Thank you.
Heine.
Esquire.
We I find it very interesting. Yes, Esquire. I find it very interesting that we have found this dictionary with a page ripped out. It has a very lovely binding. You see, just the sort of thing you might find in a law library.
You are? You are quite correct, my dear Mr. Detective. It is indeed a law book. A book on the law, not of the law, of course. There is a difference. I know this because I am a lawyer, as you might have surmised from
So
my title.
Are you claiming that this is your book?
No, no, no. No, I have my own library at home. I don't take them with me, obviously. No.
Of course not. Why would a lawyer have important
Who?
books in his office?
Exactly.
Well,
This is not my office. This is maybe somebody else was interested in law books. I am always interested, but I already know all the law books.
but one thing I find it particularly interesting with regards to this book here, if we will look at the flyleaf, it says to make sure you never forget a debt.
It is
And
indeed very important.
signed Mr. Crow. How interesting.
Yes.
Do you think this is interesting? Have you ever read this before? Did you know Mr. Crow?
I did know Mr. Crow, obviously. I was here. He was his attorney, obviously, quite obviously. I, however, have no debts, outstanding debts. I mean, I have outstanding debts, but none relevant to the situation. But I will tell you something I heard, my dear Mr. Detective. Have you ever heard that the fortune of Lord Hare, Lord Bunny's father, has taken a nosedive? Huh.
That is a very interesting thing to observe.
Isn't it? Isn't it just?
But it does make my wonder, does it not? That if someone owed Mr. Crow a great debt, that would that it would be very convenient that Mr. Crow should pass from this world, perhaps without collecting it.
You are suggesting foul play, my dear detective. Oh, of course you are. Why else would you be here? Well, I wish you much luck in your endeavors to find out who did this dastardly deed. Nothing to do with me, certainly.
Well, thank you very much for your cooperation. I'm sure we will have more to speak about at some point. That's it.
Bravo.
Was fun.
Is that how it works, Donna?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Should
quick. Oh,
go ahead, Donna.
Mark.
No, you go ahead.
I was just about to say, I hope my notes captured the chaotic nature of that questioning.
Yes.
Quick question regarding the last note under point 2. Should the information regarding the fortune of Lord Hare, should that be other noteworthy utterances under Lord Hare, or should it remain under Hyena?
Came up in the
during the Hyena.
And that way it keeps its link as to who said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Also, okay. Cool.
Good. Mark, do you feel like you want to be the detective next?
Sure.
Good. Brandon, do you want to take notes for this next interrogation?
So you need to pass on the hat to Mark.
Right here.
I do not got no hat. Unfortunately.
Might
Let's
have
pretend
to
I
be
have a hat.
the Zoom hat.
You could Zoom hat me if you would like.
I think you have to do that yourself.
Where's the Zoom hat under?
In the video, I say drop down, but it's a drop up, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you go choose video filter
Mm-hmm.
and scroll down a bit, you will see a hat.
All right.
You can make it a beret if you really want, but
well, he's French.
Voila.
That's a hat.
Yes. So, Donna, I'm going to have you portray the Miss Honey Badger, the banker.
Okay.
I'm Belgian, not French. Okay, so
I will Miss Honey Badger is going to be not particularly helpful either, just so you know.
oh, is that where it ended up?
Roll?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, roll the six.
Okay, so first question, link the suspect to something else in the paper.
So the paper means the whole
right,
keeper, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Miss Honey Badger, I'm curious to know if you, as a banker, have been working recently with a lot of pen and ink, and perhaps you're responsible for this ink-stained envelope that's been found.
Well, back of the envelope calculations are most definitely not what we do at our institution, I assure you, good detective. Um, and but in fact that does seem to be an envelope from my bank. Um, of course, there is probably too much red ink on that envelope for it to be from our reputable institution. Uh, so I don't know exactly the provenance of the ink on that envelope. Though I can confirm, even though it is slightly smudged under all that ink, that envelope, I recognize it.
Is it not true that you have been colluding with Mr. Bear, the accountant, in producing these documents, cooking the books for your bank?
I mean, hooking up, but not hooking the books. Colluding? Cavorting, I should say.
Then is it not yes, Sabine. Is it not true that in this canoodling, you might say, with Mr. Bear,
Like, why I never?
you have somehow stepped on the relationship that existed between Mr. Bear and Mr. Crow?
What two gentlemen do in the privacy of their own apartment is none of my concern.
I am just saying that if there was any motive for Mr. Crow to be taken out of the picture, this seems likely.
Oh, do I seem like a jealous type? Do I? Uh, Jealousy, I mean, greed, I will accept. Gluttony, maybe. But jealousy? No, 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 no. Mr. Crow didn't have a hope of breaking up my relationship with Mr. Bear.
Very interesting. You may remain seated, Miss Honey Badger.
Oh, am I under arrest? Is that what you're telling me, detective?
Someone pour her another drink.
Mead. I drink mead.
Lord Bunny will hop up and pour a drink.
So,
I think,
uh,
yes.
does that conclude your
Yes, it does.
interrogation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sabine, do you want to go next as
Yeah.
the detective?
Sure.
Mark,
Can I have the
take
hat,
notes.
please?
You're looking for none, Mark. Okay.
Hey, I only have this one. I apologize. Okay, you've asked for it now, Mark. I'm afraid. I'm sorry, but I think I want to talk to you as Mr. Bunny, please.
Very good.
Uh-huh.
All right. The dilettante Lord Bunny.
Yes.
All right. Very good. So I have to roll a d6,
Mm-hmm.
right? And here we go. Oh my gosh. We're just going to keep rolling high, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody is very shifty.
Mark, do you want me to take notes, given that
Oh,
you can't,
sorry. I should
unless you
forget
want to,
someone else, right?
No,
it's
you're
okay.
good. Yeah. Yeah, please do take notes, Donna.
Sorry. I
Don't
didn't
be
think.
sorry.
Lord Bunny, I couldn't help notice your very interesting footwear. However, they are very dry now, so I can probably gather that you are not the one who left these wet footprints, right?
Agreed. I did not leave those footprints.
Yes.
I don't know who did. That's some sort of commoner's footwear, obviously.
Okay.
You know who wears commoner's footwear is Porcupine.
Thank you for elucidating this. Are you saying that these footprints, who were leading out of the window for some reason, that they were Miss Porcupine's? Or can you explain that to me?
Yes, if you think that they were Miss Porcupines, I agree. Miss
No, I
Porcupine.
don't. No, you said it. They might have been Miss Porcupine's. I'm just asking
Oh,
questions.
but your question is, are they Miss Porcupines?
My
Is that
question
right?
is, can you explain why these footprints lead to the window over there
Oh,
and don't
yes,
come back?
I can, as a matter of fact. Miss Porcupine, I believe, um, had to exit the premises through the window to dispose of evidence.
Hmm. Mhm. And is it not true, though, that you are a great patron of Miss Porcupine's? Or is your relationship on the rocks currently?
Yes, I am, in fact, a patron of Miss Porcupine, and in the past, I have certainly made sure that they have a comfortable existence while they pursue their art.
Hmm.
And you're correct that things have been on the rocks recently. Miss Porcupine would not attend a command performance at my request at Hare Manor.
Hmm. Well, that's very interesting. So is that maybe why she was looking for a new patron, like Mr. Crow?
Oh.
What would your father think of that?
Well, um, yes, that may have been why she was seeking a new patron in Mr. Crow, which makes one wonder why she would Mr. Crow. If she Mr. Crow, then she
I
no longer has
don't.
a patron. My father was never a great patron of the arts. He was more a fan of simply accumulating wealth.
Yes, I've heard some of that about that. I think I need to talk to Miss Porcupine. You can maybe pour yourself another drink.
Hmm. I'll have someone pour it for me. Thank you.
Oh, I'm giving my hat to you. I think you haven't been the detective so far.
Yeah, I have a rather dashing virtual hat.
It looks a
Ooh,
little bit like Sly Stallone's hat in Rocky
You mean too
and the
small?
first Rocky. Too small.
Who is yet to play a suspect? Brandon, is it you?
Brandon.
Right. I suppose, seeing as I've said I was going to interrogate Miss Porcupine next, I should stick with that plan. Past me is very wise.
Brandon,
Brandon,
you're
you're
muted. Sorry.
Oh, I was about to say, let's see if only poor people cooperate. But no, evidently nobody cooperates.
Wow. Okay. Um,
What do you want? I haven't done anything.
Perhaps you can explain to me, Miss Porcupine, um, exactly why you left via the window and never returned.
I don't know what you're talking about. Those aren't my footprints. I mean, they're my shoes, of course, but I left my shoes out um, because they were too muddy to bring in, and they disappeared all yesterday. I don't know why anybody would have taken my shoes, but then they were back again.
I think we can hazard a guess at why someone may have worn your shoes.
Well, but most people here have feet that are too big for my shoes. I mean, except for, Professor Scorpion, of course. He's got kind of small feet.
Of course, but we will get to Professor Scorpion momentarily. Were you aware of the amount of difficulty uh, your previous patron's father, Lord Hare, was in, and how that might
He
have
was a terrible,
caused?
terrible man. Now she outbursts while you're asking a question.
Mhm.
He was just a horrible man. All he cared about was money. Then he viewed people as things that he could just buy and sell, and that when he rang a bell, that people would just come and show up. It was disgusting. I couldn't say anything sometimes. And he didn't treat his son very well either. I mean, he's not his father, but um, he picked up a few things from growing up in that wretched house. I mean, such a huge house, and how many friends did he have? I'm not sure he had any, Lord Hare. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Never you mind. In your experience, then, Miss Porcupine, why do you think Lord Bunny had such a hatred of Mr. Crow?
I think Mr. Crow reminded him of his father. He was just that same sort of grasping, manipulative person. Um, And he loved to bait people, Mr. Crow did, to really try to get their goat. And I think I'm astonished that Lord Bunny never killed his father. I would have killed him. Can I go now?
Not quite yet, Miss Porcupine, but you may stay in your seat for a while and know you are not under arrest. Hmm. I wonder who I shall speak to next. Professor Scorpion or Mr. Bear. So, who I think is our next detective? Uh, Brandon, do you want to take another run at it, or
I think I will question Professor Scorpion. Who would like to play Professor Scorpion?
Donna, do you want to?
sure, why not? Someone else will
I
have
can.
to take some
I'll take
notes.
notes.
Okay.
Hmm. Professor Scorpion, I have noticed something very interesting about you.
I'm not a mammal like the rest of these freaks.
Just so. Um, and it is reflected in your locomotion.
In my erudite education,
Just so.
locomotion, I have legs, I have
You
feet.
do. I am sure that this is not something that occurs to you because you have been with it all your life, but when you um, when you walk, you make this sound that like like a fork being drawn across a slate roof. It's quite striking. I suspect it is the simply the way that your exoskeleton works. Um, but it makes you very different from some of the others here. I think that some might find this sound a little off-putting. Does that sound like you?
Off-putting. I mean, some of my students certainly think so.
Are you
Uh,
unhelpful again? Everyone's
when I
unhelpful. Oh my
you
gosh.
see, when I scuttle around the place. Uh, well, let me put it this way. Mammals often feel the need for footwear, and because they are so dominant in this society, they create floor coverings for their footwear and not for the kind of more advanced feet that an arachnid like me might have. And sometimes the homeowners association in this apartment block has called out for me to wear socks due to my scraping or the alleged scraping of the floorboards and indeed of the marble. Uh, but I have resisted all those attempts with the most understandable professionalism of the good Mr. Hyena Esquire.
At, I have here a photograph made by the police in
Who can
Mr.
be trusted, I'm
Crow's,
sure.
as you say, but in Mr. Crow's vestibule, suggesting that someone or something made certain scratches in his doorway, perhaps while they were trying to pick the lock of the door. I understand that that you
Well, let
have
me
locksmithing as a hobby, do you not?
Well, I take a very keen interest in the security of my own home. So, yes, locksmithing, but not lock breaking. In fact, let me clear the air. Those are scratches, seems like such a pejorative term. I was merely knocking on the door to complain about the ruckus that erupted out of Mr. Crow's apartment. Every night, he had visitors. I don't know exactly what he was getting up to. I didn't want to know. Just I knew that on Thursday nights I have early lectures, and on Wednesday nights with house guests over till all hours, uh, such mammalian grunting was heard, and I was knocking to little avail to disclaim the discomfort he was making upon my sensibilities, if not my eardrums. Do I even have eardrums?
Yes,
I
well,
don't know.
I can see how such activities by Mr. Crow must over and over again, night after night, have been the kind of thing that might drive anyone quite mad and desire to do anything that might silence such activities. Isn't that true?
Of course, whatever dark desire lies within us, uh, as animals, can only be repressed by cold reptilian or arachnid blood. I don't run hot like these mammals. I don't give in to my baser instincts. No, no, no. However much I may have
We,
felt like Mr. Crow and Mr. Bear and all these other people who were entangled together may have been making my life a misery. Um, well, well, I shan't suggest that I took matters into my own hand.
you may not run hot, as you say, but on the other hand, I suspect that you may be more capable of acting in cold blood. And, um, but
I'll take that as a
we
compliment.
we will discuss that another time. All right. We need one more detective.
First, I didn't
I,
quite capture the motive there. So the mammals had been making Scorpion's life a misery. Did you redirect that on anyone or anything?
I didn't redirect so much
Mhm.
as say it could have been me because I'm a cold-blooded creature.
Got it.
Um, I'm wondering, do we want to just, it's just after 9, do we want to take a quick break? Okay, and we'll return for our final interrogation after. So I've got like 3 minutes past. Do we want to come back at 10 past or we make it a full 10 minutes?
10 past is good.
10 past is fine.
Okay,
Wait, I'm sorry.
You're
and we're back.
okay. So, yeah, Mr. Bear, um, do you have any explanation why this paper mache mask, is that how you pronounce it? I'm sorry, I'm Belgian. I have no idea. Despite my hat. This mask, why it has the impression of your face? And also, are you cooperative or not? Oh, you're
Well,
not.
I am not apparently. Yes. Oh yes, I can explain that. The artist who made this mask, fine likeness, I might add, asked me to be the model
Mhm.
for it, and I do think it came out splendidly. Yes.
It is.
Um,
It is a very good likeness.
yes.
The only thing I don't understand is, was this a love gift from Mr. Crow to you or from you to Miss Honeybadger?
Um, well, you're giving me two options, and I would say that it was for Miss Honey Badger. Miss Honey Badger, it's true. I I can't hold this in any longer. I love you.
Me,
I love
her.
me. I love her. I love, yes, no, not you, her. Miss Money Badger. I'm sorry. I thought she was in the same room and we were with us.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yes,
thought I saw her over there, but um it was an ottoman, I guess.
she quite like, sorry. Yes, this Ottoman likes has a strong likeness to her. Um, well. So, so the irregularities in Mr. Crow's finances, was that your idea or hers? It is quite ingenious, I have to say.
Um, it was ably performed by Miss Honey Badger and myself. However, we were working at the direction of Mr. Hyena. You see, Mr. Hyena was the mastermind, and Miss Honey Badger and I, mere participants, unwitting, really, to the grander scheme that Mr. Hyena had cooked up for Mr. Crow.
That is quite odd, though. Can you explain to me why Mr. Hyena pointed the finger at you then?
Well, obviously, I can, which is that he was attempting to deflect blame from himself and on the place it on the innocent, really, I think is the correct word.
No, not really, Mr. Bear. Not quite. So you think he also manipulated Mr. Crow?
Oh, I don't think. I do not
Oh,
think that he manipulated Mr. Crow. I know that he manipulated Mr. Crow.
so if Mr. Crow had caught on, you think the strongest motive to hide all these misdeeds, which honestly, you are not as innocent as you proclaim, are you then? You would put the blame at Mr. Hyena,
You're right.
Esquire.
Okay, you are correct. I am not as innocent as I have said. However, uh, once again, Mr. Hyena was the mastermind.
Oh. Well, you've given me much to think on. Thank you, Mr. Bear.
I'm glad to be of service.
Just wanted to clarify what was Mr. Bear accused of doing at Mr. Hyena's bidding?
Cooking the books with
Cooking the
with the Honey Badger, Miss Honey Badger, I think.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay. So at this point, I think, though, correct me if we're missing any points. Each suspect has something like a motive
Mhm.
and at least two facts linking them to other things that we've written down. There's
Mhm.
a web of chaos.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what we do now is in the Revelations tab, and then let me get rid of number 5. There is a space for each of us. So claim a row with your name, and then in the white, you're gonna write the name of your suspect.
Oops.
Um, and then we're gonna randomize these and then go through them one by one. We're gonna go through 3 of them at least. Um, if yours is first out of the pile, you will be the detective describing how and why the chosen suspect could have killed Mr. Crow. We continue drawing names and adding explanations, taking the previous ones into account. If the same suspect appears more than once during the draw, it's also allowed to describe how another suspect helped out. And when we get to the second last one, that's who done it. So like one person will kind of be omitted from this. That's just the way it is written. Um, but I would suggest that the participant can call for an assistant, which might be that final person to add some details as makes sense. So we each have our row, and I guess we can write our suspect's name in. I have to think about who I think done it.
Excuse me.
So, have we all got a suspect's name written? Okay. So, just for the element of suspense, I'm going to change the color of the text so we can't read it not without clicking on it. And I'm going to do the same for the randomizer. And I'm going to sort. Okay,
This is quite a system
so,
you have set up here, Donna.
well, it's a lot more difficult than drawing names out of a hat, I tell you that much. So, first up is Sabine. Why don't you tell us why the detective suspects Lord Bunny?
Well, I have to say, this was a murder done not just in cold blood, but in a particular fashion that has been common in the murders of House Hare, in that Mr. Crow was given a poison that accelerated his heart rate so that he wouldn't die from exhaustion, like somebody who's on a hunt and had been outwitted by their prey and dropped down. So this is the manner in which those of House Hare kill people. And Lord Bunny had quite a few reasons, I think. We check those reasons. Yes, he was patronizing, and maybe a little more Miss Porcupine, and Lord Crow wanted to take over that patronage, and his father would not have been pleased. Yes. Do I need to explain anything else?
No, you've explained why and how the chosen suspect could have killed Mr. Crow. So, yes, that is all we have to do for now. Brandon, do you want to explain why the detective thinks it could have been Mr. Hyena?
Was was clearly being blackmailed by Mr. Crow. And that taunting little note in the dictionary was indicative of that. Hyena was forced uh, to compel Miss Honey Badger and Mr. Bear to siphon money away from the Badger Bank in order to pay for these insatiable demands of Mr. Crow. And finally, Mr. Hyena calculated that this was no longer acceptable, and that the risks he and his uh, compelled minions had been taking had to get worse and worse, and that the right thing to do would be to in his ask for a meeting with Mr. Crow, and in so doing to stab him with the letter opener that he kept on his desk.
Okay, so whoever this is, Mark or me or you, it's going to be the big reveal. Oh, Mark, it's you. Tell us who really did it.
But after eliminating these suspects, it's come down to the single most likely candidate. Mr. Bear. It was a crime of passion. You see, Mr. Bear and Miss Honey Badger had been carrying on an affair for some time. They were,
They're
in
talking.
fact, It was very tawdry. Yes. I should have said tawdry affair, in fact. Um, and they were working together under the direction of Mr. Hyena. However, it was the discovery on Mr. Bear's part that Mr. Crow had been that Mr. Crow had been making inroads with Miss Honey Badger. Specifically, the wet footprints that we saw actually belonged to Miss Honey Badger after she had had a liaison with Mr. Crow. She made her way out the window so that she could re-enter through the front door. Mr. Bear met her at the front door and let her back in. And that was when his suspicion was sparked. So he waited and planned, and finally, I need an assistant. Assistant!
Yes, sir.
What am I missing here?
Well, obviously, Mr. Bear knew that a swipe of his paws, fatal though it would have been, would have instantly cast suspicion on him or his
Precisely.
beloved Miss Honey Badger.
Yes.
And
Also,
so
she has claws.
Yes.
Yes.
Paws and
Yes.
claws. And where was I? Oh, yes, the letter opener, which you so astutely noticed being used to, I can't remember the smart turn of phrase you used, sir, but to dismantle this Corvid court that Mr. Crow had set up.
Quite. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The murderer, Mr. Bear. He's trying to get away. Get him.
No, my love.
That's what policemen are for.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Yeah, the detective was clever enough to have a dozen policemen outside the door who gang tackle Mr. Bear.
Mr. Hyena will volunteer to be his legal representation, which,
Oh my.
yeah, well,
Always works out well. So yes, that's it. We have solved the mystery of the murder of Mr. Crow. It's not
Yes,
the
yes.
detective's job to apprehend or imprison Mr. Bear. They shall find him hibernating with his cappuccino.
That's why he drinks coffee, because it postpones hibernation.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's needed to hibernate for years, and he's just been putting it off.
I mean,
Too
anything to get him
caffeine
through to the end of the tax year, right?
Yeah. Yeah, gotta be awake for March, in the United States.
Yeah.
I hardly blame the poor guy. I mean, with this much sleep deprivation, Mr. Hyena would make a fine case of that.
It's true.
Temporary insanity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. What this bear needs is not imprisonment. What this bear needs is a good month's sleep.
No jury of his peers would find him guilty.
No.
Weren't they going to find peers of his? Because yes.
Only Ursine jurors may present themselves.
Yes. Clearly.
So with that, the game is over. The game suggests that we discuss what we've accomplished and maybe what we should change if we were to play this again. I don't know whether, I mean, I guess it's stars and wishes, right?
Yeah.
Uh, how do people feel about keeping this in the recording, or do we want to stop and then discuss off?
I am okay either way.
Same. However you want to do it, it's your recording.
Yeah, we can do it on recording. Um, yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was very chaotic fun, kind of very much in keeping with the parlor slash LARP stable. Um, the fact that we don't own any of the characters and we are just, I guess, driving them like stolen cars, right? Um, I think so I mean that's I think what we put together is a very rip-roaring tale in the genre. I feel like maybe if I play this again, I'll be a little bit better with my questioning. It's
Mhm.
kind of tough to keep on message for those three kind of delineated questions every time. So, not that it caused any problems, I think, but maybe I'll be better next time. Sabine, how about you?
Yeah, same. I liked the game. I liked all the detectives. I liked all the suspects. They were all so shady. It was great fun. It was great fun. I really liked Miss Porcupine starting off with, I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. And if I did, it wasn't wrong. That was amazing. I forgot who that was, but it was amazing. And it's a fun game. It came together. I was not entirely sure about the last part. If it should have been kept, if the whole how did that happen should have been kept more open, because I jumped at a means of delivery, which I shouldn't have. But I did, which I didn't know. So, well, anyway. So now I do. And also, as Donna said, being more on point with the questions. That was I would also have done that, but either way, we had a lot of fun and we had a lot of suspects, and nobody got off like they were super innocent.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Mark.
kudos to the dice room. Everybody was shady.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. That was nuts. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
hoping we'd
Yeah.
change it up at some point.
Uh,
Everybody had something to hide, clearly.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like one of those Christie mysteries where everyone really kind of did it. Mark, how about you?
It did. Yes. I agree. I had fun in the same points. I think I had some questions while I was going, one of which was for the second question that we ask where we invent some let's see, you invent something based on the previous answer. I think I was a little bit cautious about what the parameters were for how far out there we wanted to go with those things, I guess. So I can't explain that very well, I guess, but I think I was looking maybe for a little, just trying to determine how limited or limiting I wanted to keep things. And then the final during the revelation, I was wondering if we wanted to um, in naming the suspect and their method and so forth, if there was anything else that we were missing that we should have been drawing from the previous information, if that makes any sense. Like if we were supposed to link it back in callbacks to some of the things that maybe we didn't. Because I guess that the object or something heard or noticed is not necessarily going to be, it's a clue. It's not necessarily like a murder weapon or the method of murder or so forth. But I just felt like I should have maybe called back a little bit more than I did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess those kind of objects or witnessing points at the very start is really just to kickstart us, but I think we were pretty good about reintegrating those over time. And of course, in the end, your final explanation of how it was done can also include new information, right? So it's of course we tend to build on what we know. So yeah, it's you can always pull something out of thin air at the very end, to make the charge fit, right? Uh, but yeah, thanks, Mark. Brandon, how about you?
Yeah, I had fun. I yeah, I really like the prompts. I think they work well and they encourage you to to create the kind of drawing room clues, right? That these sorts of things did. I love this cast of characters. I especially love the anthropomorphic details that snuck in. Oh, I'm a cold-blooded creature. I'd never do anything like this. Or the fact that bear and honey badger had similar claws. Um, that was hilarious. And I loved some of the subtext that was, developed, that bear and honey badger were having an affair, that, Lord Bunny, grew up with a domineering and oppressive father. Um, these emotional, these things which were sort of emotional, uh, kind of emotional fodder for, doing wicked things which are rife. Even in the case where someone didn't commit the crime that the plot is about, you find, all sorts of behavior based on emotion and passions from uh, things like that. And I was pleased at how much of that was that we invented as just as a byproduct of creating this question, and how willing people as witnesses were to volunteer, whole theories of what has happened. Uh, well, but you don't know this about this other character, da 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 da. And it was just like, this is just great. This is fantastic. Kind of flood the zone a little bit with clues. So
Yeah, super. So yeah, I guess we'll leave it there. Yeah, I'm not sure we have anything else to say. We had great fun, I think, and yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
thanks everyone.
Yeah, thanks for
Really had fun.
facilitating, Donna. It's
Yeah,
fun
Yeah,
absolutely.
game.
thanks.
Take care, folks.